We're trying this again. Am I stable? I'm back? Maybe? Kind of? Am I stable? I think I need to physically move. I put my NAS next to my, and I doubt it's the problem, but I'm going to literally physically move the NAS on the other side of the router to see if that fixed it. But I appear to be back, which is good. I'm gonna go get some. I'm gonna go grab my tea. 1 second, stream. Alright, I'm back with tea. I don't know what the problem was, because all I did was switch my computer from the 5 gigahertz to the 2.4 gigahertz version of the same Wi-Fi. Okay. So, where was I? So, Saru is really good. So, no, you're good. I want to get this explained and then clipped or something so that I can actually use it, because it's a really good distillation of what I'm thinking. So the way magic works, we're going to start from the very beginning, is you literally, as a mage in this world, as an etheric mage in this world, be it song, be it by the Draker tradition, you envision a weave. There's probably a sub-tradition that envisions it more as something related to the mycela and like in interconnection and growing things in a specific shape. Regardless of the visualization, what you're doing is you are basically establishing... I see it say unstable again. I'm watching it. I'm keeping my... But you're basically establishing... parameters, right? And so the reason you chant spells as a normal mage is because somebody at some point figured out the parameters that you need to use. And the spells basically, especially the longer, the big long ones, are basically putting your brain in the state that when you reach out to manipulate the magic, you chant the spell, and the spell walks your brain through the same set of steps every time, right? It's like singing. Honestly, it's the chanting. The spells basically help guide you down a specific path. And every time you use that spell, you're going to get the same result. If your spell is to turn the mug blue, or heat up your tea, chanting the same spell every time is going to heat up your tea to the same heat every time. There's not a ton of variation there. And that's what most people's magic is, right? Most people are at a level of magic where they chant the spell, they get the results. They can chant some of the more complicated spells. You know, more complicated spells require more skills or more power, or both. And so it's Saru, and then as you become better, like notably better, at casting spells, you start being able to customize your spells. So you can chant a very similar version of the same spell, but your tea is a little bit hotter, or a little bit cooler. Um, or you start being able to shorten the spell. So instead of being, you know, which is very similar to like the memes, right? Of like, instead of telling the universe how does a dog wear pants, and then it's the Nina meme from Full Metal or something, you just say dog or pants or dog pants or something, and you basically have summoned the same feeling without needing to use the entire sentence. And so spells are like that. They basically guide you through shaping the weave and the warp and weft of reality. And so when we see Saru technically possibly capture Kware, the two things that are of note about Saru is that she's got some really good spells. Slice and Crush is all she needs to say to basically command the troll that Kware lights on fire, his clothing, to both slice him apart and crush his body. And there's a little bit of, even within a simplified spell, you can project certain intentions, right? Because there is an unconscious step even for regular mages. So the spell Slice and Crush doesn't always grab a person's shirt and crush them, right? It will grab kind of whatever your intention is related to. Kware can shortcut that step entirely. She doesn't need the spell. She just wants somebody's arm to be crushed with their clothing, if she can't do this, but with their clothing. And so she just kind of does it, right? The spell forms and happens at the speed of thought. And rips into the person and then the other distinction is most spells are not actually the right way to do something, but they are reliable and definitive. And so there's a lot of wasted energy, relatively, wasted energy in casting a spell. So this is where you get different schools of fireball casting, where because you learned it from this way or this set of spells, you're suddenly, somebody else sat down one day and decided that this is a 2% more efficient way to cast the spell, or things like that. And it's not computerized, right? It's not programming, but it's not programming. It's not a indistinct situation from that. So what we get with Saru is one of the things Kware notices, because I rewrote the scene a little bit, is that Saru not only can cast really fast, at least with spells that she is very familiar with, she can do it without a lot of waste, which makes them sneaky. One of the things that we see in the scene where Saru first shows up is that Kware barely felt the spell form, which means that Saru cast it really fast, but also didn't spend a ton of energy on it. Whereas Kware doesn't need to speak, right? She can just make the fireball appear. Noctvagya, yes. Versus Noctvin. Am I unfortunately going to get stuck with knocked vagina at some point? Yes, but I'm aware of I'm aware of the situations I've run into. I am a DM by training. And so the keys with Saru are that she's really good. She's notably good. She's not the best. She's not the most powerful. In fact, she's fairly limited, but she's a very good with especially because Saru's basically, we haven't seen it yet, but Saru's skills are thread magic and enchanting things related to thread magic. So she made her Seamery. You can buy Seameries, But making a Seamery means that you have a more intimate understanding of them. And so she is better in tune with her Seamery. And so she's better at putting her magic into the Seamery. So when she activates it, the other thing we see is when she activates it, again, Kware is like, oh shit, I barely felt any magic extra coming off of that. Which is, again, the mark of somebody who's very good. I might make her older than 500. I guess there's not a huge reason to keep her within. All right, we're starting with 5. I'm going to go on with rolling a d20. Okay. 17. She's 1245. There we go. That's not it. That's what I want. And so it's a very similar thing. There's a lot of anime and some of the more modern, like litfic and stuff, that treat magic like, hey, this is a programmer who came in and is able to use like programming logic on magic spells. And it is a little bit of that, right? There is a lot of like, all right, well, this magic spell is 3% faster at casting Icicle. And so we can optimize it. But there's also a little bit of like, yeah, but your magic is still going to make the Icicle you cast purple instead of green. And like, you can guide the direction of the Icicle with your intent and not with, like, the spell does not give specific directional data kind of thing, right? It's not actually a purely programmatic magic system. And all of this is specifically true about etheric mages. The shamanic mages we meet and wild magic stuff function on a different level. There is not a good explanation for how Kware's Errant works that lets her talk to the crows. There are spells that can let you communicate with animals, but they are tricky. And they're like, there are spells you can do it, but Kware can just do it at all times. She has learned a spell. One of the earliest scenes I have written is that she has learned how to share that spell or that ability, like, temporarily with somebody else. So she can, it's how we meet Misei. So she can, like, hold Misei's hand and let Misei fully communicate with the birds. But that is an etheric application on top of the wild magic Errant. It is not the Errant itself being shared, right? It's not a spell that she can teach somebody how to do. And then shamanic mages kind of do their own different thing. It's very frustrating for etheric mages. But yeah, so in internet interruption aside, the difference between Saru and a lot of other Threadmancers is just a matter of skill. Like, Saru is just really good. But she's also really good and grew up fairly poor and made some really bad choices and ended up in the wrong crowd and has kind of been running with like, she was never able to become a mercenary and make money being like a mercenary or the adventurer, like the equivalent of adventurers in this world or things like that. So she was, but she was never able to do it legally. So she was always doing stuff that's kind of in this like gray legality. where she's like working security, but it's not like licensed and bonded security. Um, One of the things we haven't really spent time exploring, and I don't know if we will, is what poverty looks like when you're an immortal in a world full of immortals. Um, what does ending up in a bad situation look like? Um, there are basic requirements the Imperium enshrines, right? You have a house, you have a basic food stipend, you have things that are, you have access to healthcare. I feel like you might have sent me something, but I don't remember. I feel like I did. Um, and I'm not even talking like Saru, but like, what about Saru's life? She's 1245. Her age got changed by about 700 years just now in this conversation, but she's 1245. She doesn't have Javerica wealth, fair, but why is she still working? No, I am certain I have caught up on everything you have sent me. As I go quickly check my Proton email and see if that's actually true. Um, yeah, yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure you did. I'm pretty sure I read them too. I just don't remember detail off the top of my head. But like, why is Saru basically doing the equivalent of being a bouncer for like illicit gambling rings and fight rings, especially when there are legal fight rings and gambling rings to some extent? And she's good. Like, what is somebody this good doing this thing? And we don't explore that, but um, I want to at least have it in the inkling here of like, and that's what this conversation is somewhat focused on, is like, yes, Kware doesn't have a hero. Just flat out. Like, her hero is her mom and dad, and that's weird on its, or not weird, but that's like, it's a different position. Oh, this is upside down. It's a different position for that to be in than, you know, everyday Joe Blow. But, which is what this little bit that I'm literally working on right now, right here, is, which is like, Saru is going to be like, you take one shitty contract too many, make one too many bad decisions, and suddenly you're sitting in front of, like, Captain America. Well, okay, you're sitting in front of Ciliana. I don't need to, like... But you're suddenly sitting in front of Captain America, who... Yeah, yes, that's a good idea. Um, yeah, but my point is more to have Saru have never come from anything of substance as it was, right? Kware, even if we take all of the money and wealth and power away from the Javericas at this moment, which I'm kind of doing to some extent with Kware. No. In fact, again, Artavan and Sylviana's marriage is weird as hell. Um, what you do tend to end up with is hyphenated names, Kroinak Javerica. And you do tend to end up with, like, people are taking one clan's name versus another clan's name, but that might be 4 or 5 people taking the same clan name, right? Like, you do end up with a little bit of, like, prestige, clan prestige does dictate whose name rules the, like, polycule. Once you're fully legally endorsed, but also marriages are not considered a life bond. Like, at no point is the expectation that you get married to one person for the rest of your life, right? That is different between Carnarvon and Helinwa and Migayasuma and the Atlar, which are humanity. But even there, it's not expected, right? Even within the mortal species, being married as a mortal, there's still not this overriding Catholic expectation that you marry one person for the rest of your life, right? The entire society is polyamorous to some extent or another. The Migayasuma literally have to be polyamorous in order to reproduce. The Helinwa, the Carnarvon, I think, tend to be the more traditional of the group to some extent. No, they're a clan structure too. They're a pack structure too. So no, one of them, it might be the Helinwa then, tend to be a little bit more monogamous and a little bit more no, you get married once for life kind of thing. Like, one of the interesting things is Saru is noted as being pansexual. So unlike Keware, the definition I use for that in this world is that unlike Keware, who will date a dryad or a Shay, pansexual sexuality in this concept is, I mean, Saru will date a Migayasuma. Saru will date a Banshee. But more importantly, Saru is willing to date mortals. And take whatever time she can get with them. You know, like in a very blessing kind of, like, take your blessings when you can. Yeah. Marriages can definitely have things. Most things with immortals, even this Bannerman, like Saru has pledged her fealty to Keware. It's not a lifelong pledge. It might be measured in a couple of centuries, but it's not an expected pledge. It's not expected to be a pledge that lasts for either of their lives, provided Saru doesn't die doing the bodyguard part of the job. Which again, I think is what makes Ardavan and Sylviana so weird, is that they have both functionally pledged to each other forever. Which does mean I don't get to put an additional parent, like, Keware is going to have adoptive parents, not like additional members of her actual family until something happens to one of them, maybe. But like the fact that Artavan and Sylviana have basically done the equivalent of like a hardcore Catholic wedding makes them weird. But hopefully that explains some of my, like, it was a minute ago, but like hopefully my magic system, the way I think about the magic system makes a little bit more sense. And also the wedding stuff. The wedding stuff is super, or the relationship side of things. But I'm trying to get, yeah, so she don't have to receive clemency. But she tells you she believes in you. She's confident. Believes you can turn your life around. She believes you can turn your life. Possibly. I mean, again, it might still get clipped and cut, but then she tells you that then she tells you that despite everything, she believes. Yeah, there is a little bit of like, I get to parallel a little bit of this, which will be nice. Then she tells you that she, despite everything, she believes in you and wants. Then she tells you that despite everything, she believes in you. Don't have to go through with the deal you made. Get yourself out of that. You don't have to go. Really don't want to. You do go through with a deal. Reneg. How do you spell reneg? Oh, I guess that's how you spell reneg. Is that how you spell reneg? Yeah, okay. That's the first time I've ever spelled it, I think. But if you do go through the deal, What? Be mad. Disappointed in you. Different side of the same. I was trying to think of a light version of shadow. What is like a light shadow? I guess the light gets cast far. It's a different side of the same. Different side of the same guiding light. The same effect. I felt as pressure to live up to the Yes, that is the plan. Heck, I get it. Find a philosopher. I bet you know a poet or two. Do this better than me. Sounds good. Hey, good. We'll see you around. I need to get back into the writing habit, so it'll be good. I'm leaned on the corner. baggage. Take all that baggage and some really Masoris. Precision. Huh? Bit of a tailspin. Oh, but you're left in a bit of a tailspin. And take one. Too many. Mix, really? Too many. Suddenly, find yourself sitting in front of one of these characters. Distillers. Okay, so sitting in front. Probably should have told you. Not. I believe you are a good person. Even with all the power, perhaps. Honor your decision. Sounds like my mom. Oh no. I thought. At least somewhat. Vacuum blown. Really got me? He didn't threaten me. She just... disappointed. We just wanna... You even have to. I said I was going to take my oaths to you. Anyway. like my O's do. Threaten. Didn't threaten. Point out. My head. It's only. Oh. More scary phrase. Bone-chilling phrase in my life. I don't think I've heard a more bone-chilling phrase in my life. Can you imagine growing up with that? You're right. She's one of my heroes, but she's also my mom. It had less effect on me than it does on most people. But she was a master of parental guilt. It's quite the adventurous child. Adventurous. barely been here a month. Pretty sure. We are learning the secrets. For the next show. I can make you Preservation and the purification and preservation should be the other way. I can. Workshop. Let's see if we need any extra hands. You're going to do wanted Venia. Is herbology the study of plants? Botanist. Botanist. What is herbology? The study of plants and plant lore. As opposed to botany. Canadian botanist. Doesn't know about Maven Brain Magic affects plants. Karna. how Carnarvon green magic affects plants. There's a noted shaman. Give me an attack about it. Carnarvon magic affects plant. I happen to know there are several green mage dryads from the Union and esteemed colleges in attendance. This is Alexander. Oh, I missed it. All right, well, whatever. Don't care. It was probably spam. I specifically scheduled a well-respected a well-respected notable Carnarvon botanist. Carnarvon shaman. Green magic and happens to also be I specifically schedule and also happens to be well-respected botanist. Talk about Carnarvon green magic and its effect on plants. There are several Union green mages, including at least one dryad. Several Union green mages. Fair number of Imperial. Today, including a couple of dryads specialized in crop. There are several, and a fair number of Imperium ones here today. Green. Noctvin. Green. Noctvin. There. Number of Noctvin here who specialize in green magic. Both the Union and Imperium. Including a couple of tribes. At least a couple of tribes. Who made it their main focus. I specifically scheduled a Carnarvon Shaman. Mr. Carnarvon Shaman. Botanist. I specifically scheduled them. Accreditation from also happens to be a shaman plants who focuses on crops, encouraging crop growth. Oh, at her that's I thought you were trying to cut down on the number of duels. I need to. Or can have hobbies besides Mise, who's going to be there. She's the one who There might be Hellienois. To my attention. It's quite interesting. I mean, linked. Yeah, well, I can have hobbies. Besides, Misa's gonna be there. I'm excited to see what happens. Preservation. Purification. Sounds. Sounds like a grand time. Enjoy your mess. You know what? Helping out the preservation and purification works out. Sounds like a grand time. You can come with. I'm not in the habit making room full of Nakavin the highest Nakavin angry, much less these rooms full. Much less Nakavin with this level. You have fun. Oh no. Oh. You have fun. Boss. Let's see you. We'll get your sense of adventure sorted out. Okay. This is going to be one of those chapters that just fucking keeps getting bigger, doesn't it? That's fine. I'm going to put... This will be probably bloated, and then we will let some editors and stuff come through and clean it up. And some alpha readers or some early readers and stuff help me clean things up. Oh, good pup. Good back pup. Alright. We hit a point that my brain will want to stop at for a little while. So we will call this stream here. And make sure the archive of this half of the stream gets up. But thank you all for coming through. It's the first stream of the new year. Well, yeah. Normally I stream into the new year, but I didn't do that this year. I went out and socialized. It was the worst. No, it was a good time. So happy new year, everybody. Thank you all for coming through and hanging out and chatting and stuff. And for the follows. My goal will be to be back Sunday starting about 10:30-ish Pacific time. We'll see how it goes. Bye, stream. I also will plan to be back a couple more times throughout the week because I need to do some D&D work. So bye, stream. I lost the button. Found the button. Now bye for real.